look at you now, you're alive. Oh, look at you now, you're alright.
Hey, and welcome back to the RPG Dungeon Adventure. I'm Dennis. I run some D&D games with my friends, and I decided to start coding on the side. If you've been following at all with me, then you know that I'm starting this sort of RPG in a browser. I've been messing around with it, kind of tied to D&D style gameplay with some old school AD&D mechanics, plus a little bit of Pokemon thematics. When you're looking at the combat style. And so what I wanted to do this time is kind of run it back to the beginning, because you guys, if you have seen my videos, then you would know that I'm thousands of lines deep into programming this little game. And this is my very first time programming, and so I wanted to just walk you through real quick kind of the basics of what is coding and how I got started with it, as well as how you can kind of get yourself started. And so real quick, I'm going to go ahead and pull up some of our code that we've been doing here with VS Code and just give you a little walkthrough on kind of the basics of what I'm using. It is a lot more complicated. I wouldn't say it's basic at all, but the beautiful thing is AI is a super powerful coding engine, and it has helped me to produce basically everything that I've done. And I'm learning along the way. So it's been kind of learn as you go situation. Now I use Claude AI. Sonnet 4 is an amazing update they've just recently had. And it's basically been able to help me get through a lot of my hiccups that I had previously. And we'll talk about that in some of the other sessions as far as like spell casting, spell books, special attacks, creating monsters, creating new spells, lots of areas where I was having issues with some formatting on the page, implementing a whole new basically style of combat from how I had it previously, changing the arena. So definitely check that out. I believe it's episode 2 and 3. I kind of talk about that, but I just want to go over this real quick. You can kind of see here my setup on my base HTML. And really quick, just talk about what's going on. So coding or programming is writing instructions for a computer to follow. And think of it like writing a recipe where you need to write it in very exact descriptions, because the computer is going to follow it exactly. So if you just say, put peanut butter on the bread, then you can imagine you've probably seen the videos where the kid tells the parent to put peanut butter on the bread, and they just put the jar of peanut butter on a loaf of bread, and it doesn't work that way. So you have to be very specific with your directions, and the instructions are written in special languages that the computers can understand. So what we're going to do is kind of run through a couple of examples of what this looks like and just teach you a couple of different languages from what I've learned along the way. So a quick example in my game, when a character goes to make an attack, the computer is going to follow those exact steps. So let me pull it up here. Control F. Find that guy here in my app.py. So, and you can see I even have it written out as a step-by-step situation. So, you got the def, calculate attack details, character, enemy, and weapon. So what's going on here? It's calculating a detailed attack information, including all the bonuses. So you have proficiencies, you have modifiers, you have all these details from the D&D math that I want to include into the actual attack roll on the computer. And so it shows immediately we're programming it to understand the steps. You have your base roll. If there's a weapon, for example, a wand, it's an intelligence-based weapon, then it's going to use the intelligence modifier. If it's a weapon that's a short bow, dagger, rapier, longbow, and I can include more weapons in there as I go, it's going to be a dex-based weapon, so it's going to use the dexterity modifier. And if it's a strength-based weapon, it's going to use the strength modifier, which is basically everything else at that point. So first I'm going to define what that is. Then I'm going to create the next steps of, okay, so first we get the attribute bonus, then we get proficiency bonuses for the attack roll. And that's going to depend on the character level. So character level is, look at all these different things that are going on here. So proficiency bonus is going to tell you exactly how to calculate the proficiency bonus based on the level. So it starts as plus 2 level 1 increases by 1 every 4 levels. So it's going to take the calculation from the proficiency bonus and add it into the attack roll. Same thing will go with your attack spell bonus. And then the final attack roll will be attack roll base plus total attack bonus, which is attribute modifier and proficiency bonus. So I was showing you the reason why I'm bringing this up is showing very specific steps on how to calculate, on what the calculations will be, and putting it all together at the end so you have your final sandwich per se, right? And then you either hit or you don't, and it runs through all these different scenarios too. So if you hit, then you roll the damage. If you miss, then it says, too bad you miss, you suck. So that all being said, where do you input your code? So think of code editors as and development environments like different kitchens where you can write your recipes. Okay, so you have text editors. They're like basic kitchens with good lighting and organization. And then some of those would be like a Sublime Text, Atom, and what I use is Visual Code Studio. The organization is just immaculate for this. I can pull up all these different files. It all automatically goes right into my folder. So I can pull up my templates. I can see them all here. And that's where it actually runs out of when I double click on the app. It actually pulls up my game, and I can pull up the browser to play it. So it's a very awesome format. There's integrated development environments, so IDEs, and these are professional restaurant kitchens. So they have all the built-in tools. They've got an editor, debugging tools, and they always run your code all in one place. So examples of this are IntelliJ, IDEA, Eclipse, and Xcode. I don't really know any of these. I have only ever run VS Code. It's free, so it's simple for me to use. And there's also online platforms, so CodePen, Replicate. I have used GitHub before, and then I just liked what I was doing with AI separately with the VS Code, so I just kept doing that. But those are really great because there's no setup required, so you just get right into GitHub and you can start writing. It all saves it as well on the cloud, so you get it all in one place, and then you can actually take your save from GitHub, and it'll load it straight into, for example, I can combine it with my VS Code. If I want to upload that right into GitHub, I can take all my information, go there, and they do have a Copilot there as well. So there's, which is like an AI. It's not as creative. It doesn't have much context in your conversations, but it is a useful little tool. So my setup for my dungeon RPG is I use Visual Code Studio, so VS Code, as my main editor, and I use Python, which I installed on computers to run the back end. And then I just use web browser to test the game and play it. So when I type Python to apt.ui in my console, I can pull it up right here in my console, my command prompt, or I could just go to the app and I double click on it. And that brings it up. And then I just have localhost 5000 exclamation point for actually playing the game. So you can see here, go and pull it up. There it is. This is my browser, basically, that pulls up the game. You can see I retitled it RPG Dungeon Adventure. I was like, I should probably just make that a thing. So I came in here and just quickly added the RPG Dungeon Adventure. Sorry if you can hear my chewing. I've got this new gum. It's the Neuro gum. Helps you with energy and focus. It's got a bit of natural caffeine as well as some other ingredients, some vitamins, and like L-theanine, and there's no sugar. And I thought I'd try it to help me kind of focus on. I've got an MBA program, I've got work, I've got this I'm working on, and just want to make sure I have like energy and focus with my kids. And so that's kind of so sorry about the background noise there, but I just want to give a shout out to Neuro for that sweet gum. The initial taste not so great, but it wears off pretty quick. So after that plug, the common coding languages and tools. So let's talk about what I have been using and what you will use in programming. So Python, right? So there's your first real tool. Think of it as like a Swiss Army knife. So it's versatile, it's beginner friendly, it's best for data analysis, artificial intelligence, automation, and web backends. So really a lot. And why beginners love it is because it reads almost like English. So you really can straight up look at this and you can start getting some context. And if you start understanding code and the language, then you'll be able to look at it and say, yeah, that makes sense. I can see how that all goes together. So here's an example. Netflix used by Netflix for recommendations, Instagram for photo processing. And in my RPG, it handles all my game logic. So all the stats, the combat calculations, saving and loading, basically everything there, grabbing the web server with Flask. Okay, then there's JavaScript, and it's like a duct tape of the internet. It's everywhere and fixes everything. So it's best for making websites interactive, web applications, and even mobile apps. So it has a special power, the only language that runs directly in web browsers. So every time you click like on social media, JavaScript is working. In my RPG, JavaScript makes the character creation form interactive, handles spell targeting and combat, and validates that you select exactly 4 skills. So it shows you everything. So I'll show you a JavaScript here. Oh my gosh, if I can type. Not description, I just want a script. I'm super good at typing, by the way. Oh man, what's going on? Oh, you know what? It's probably in. Let's go to the in. There we go. Style. Nope. Character detail. Character detail. I'll show it. Style script. There we go. Found it eventually. So I've got my script here. And then there's HTML and CSS, and you can see all of my files are actually have the HTML, and that's a skeleton of a house basically, and CSS is the paint and decorations. So that's my styling. This is all CSS here is styling, and it's not technically a programming language, but it's essential for web development. So if you want your stuff to look decent, you're going to have some CSS in there. Java, it's like a reliable pickup truck. So it's not the flashiest, but it gets the job done everywhere. It's best for large business applications, Android apps, write once, run anywhere, works on almost any device, and it's used by banks, Android apps, Minecraft. You probably recognize Java, huh? So C++, it's like a Formula One race car, incredibly fast, but very difficult to handle. So you gotta have a lot of skill. It's best for video games, operating system, high performance applications. That's actually on my list of things I want to learn, because I would like to get some more animation and interaction in my games. But I'm kind of learning the basics and how to really build a game first. So this gives you lots of control, but you can easily crash. And most video games and Adobe Photoshop have C++. Swift. It's like a sleek sports car designed specifically for Apple's roads. Best for iPhone and iPad apps. Created by Apple specifically for the ecosystem. Most apps you download from the App Store. And last one here is SQL. And it's like a filing cabinet organizer. Fantastic at finding and organizing information. It's best for working with databases, storing data, special use. Almost every app needs to store information somewhere. An example, this is when you search for a product on Amazon, SQL helps find it. In fact, it's probably right here. When I look for something here, I would look for great sword. There it is. I don't know if that's actually it, but I'll pretend like it is. It's kind of like that. So how programming actually works. Let's see my face here as I explain this. So think of programming like giving directions to someone who has never been to your city. So first you want to write the directions, and that's the code, and in the language you understand. So you gotta get the right language. They follow each step exactly, just like a computer's gonna execute your code line by line exactly, and then they arrive at the destination. So your program does what you want it to. If you miss a step or make an error, they'll get lost or do something unexpected. And that's why debugging finds and fixing errors. Finding and fixing errors is a huge part of programming. So a lot of people dedicate a lot of their career to debugging. So a real example from my game, when you create a character in my RPG, here's what happens. The HTML form collects the character's name, class, race, and portrait. JavaScript validates that you filled everything out correctly, and then Python receives the data and creates a character dictionary. So let's look it up. There's the character dictionary, right? Name, character class, race, level, XP portrait, yada yada. Attributes, skills. Then Python saves this to a file so you don't lose your character, and HTML and CSS displays your new character and level. So I'm going to pull this guy up right here. Continue adventure. So I've got Venomous. Venomous. It saves all this information, and then the CSS and HTML is what gives me the layout. And so I've created basically the styling with the green buttons, with your different boxes showcasing what you have, the spacing, kind of everything there. So that's why it's important to have. So every step has to work perfectly, or your character won't be created. So that's where you get, and I have it set so that if I have an error, it pulls up a whole error page. I can actually show an example probably right now of what that looks like. Let's go to manage inventory. Did I sell that? Oh, shoot. Oh, that's too funny if I sold that. Let's just go in here. It's fine. Magic items, scrolls, potions, trinkets, regular protection. That would be really funny if I actually, let's go ahead. Yeah, that's funny. I actually did sell that in accident. I thought it would be a bug. I was wrong. You know who needs a new weapon? Let's go in here. Oh, he can't afford it yet. Too bad. Here's what we can do. Venomous, sell item. No? You guys don't have any items to sell? I think selling actually works, so that's not a good idea. Nah, screw it. You'll probably see me crash in one of my other videos, so no need to make it crash right now. So getting started, what should you learn first? For complete beginners like me, here's a recommended path. Okay, so if you want to build websites, start with HTML and CSS, then JavaScript. If you want to learn programming concepts, start with Python. If you want to make mobile apps, Swift for the iPhone or Java Kotlin for Android. And if you're interested in data or AI, Python. So I started with Python and kind of moved into HTML and CSS, and then Java obviously as well. So a little bit of everything. And I kind of just learning as I go. Basically asking AI to run some code for me and teach me along the way. And it's really simple by asking Claude, hey, how do I do this? Give me instructions for that. So remember that learning code is like trying to play an instrument. You start with the simple songs, basic programs, and you gradually work up to the symphonies. And how this game actually started was a very basic game, basic actions, basic enemies. And then I started creating complexities, more dynamics from like an actual D&D simulation. And I wanted to be that way because my brother and I both have always wanted, like, oh, if I'd have the itch for D&D, but I don't have time to get into a long-term, RPG, or I don't have enough people to sit down and play, then maybe a board game or like a simple video game would be fun to have. And that's the idea of this, is to just kind of give me like, oh, I have a little itch to play some D&D, but I don't want to have a big commitment right now. So for 15 minutes or whatever, if you want to kill some time, or even if you get like really enjoy playing the game, and I wanted to make it, as I started creating it, as like I actually really enjoy playing this, and I have a lot of bigger goals along the way with it, but it kind of started that way. So you kind of want to start with basics, and then kind of gradually build and grow that application to be bigger and bigger. And it's really easy once you have the base layer to start adding some additions, and maybe not so easy. I say easy like that because I understand you just add more lines and more functions, but those functions can be complicated. You have to create a database and dictionaries in order for it to pull the functions and play. So even, you're gonna have issues, but even experienced programmers have bugs and have to run, debugging to figure out how to make it all work. So it's just a part of the game. And in fact, if you have a good debug, code, gives you good feedback, then that's actually really good, and will help you fix it and learn why it happened. So the most important things to remember is computers are incredibly powerful, but also incredibly literal. They'll do exactly what you tell them to. So the art of programming is learning to communicate clearly and precisely with a machine that has no common sense but infinite patience. And what I like about Claude AI is it has a lot more context to like personality and understanding our context of what we're saying. So I'll always speak to it, have it clarify back to me what it understands, validate or verify if that's correct, and then continue with some code. And I noticed that when I do that, I get a lot better outcomes. There are still some hiccups here or there, but I do get a lot better outcomes. So let's walk through setting up the programming environment. So, and I'm gonna have all these steps included in my video. I'll probably have an attachment that you can just download like a Word document and look at it and follow the steps. So if you can't keep up, then don't worry about it. But I'm not very savvy with the video, so I might not be able to do very well there for you. But first of all, you want to get the Visual Code Studio. It's a VS Code. It's a free code editor. So you're going to go to the website down there in the description. Why would you do that? Because it's the best free code editor used by millions of developers. So you just click the download and start downloading that. Then you go to Python programming languages and get that downloaded. Kind of similar situation. And then you just want to make sure you add Python to path. Again, add Python to path. When you go through all of your install, it's going to ask add it to path. It's very important. I didn't do it the first time I downloaded Python, and I had to go through and add it in later, and it was just a little more confusing for me since it was my very first time working with Python. Another option, get version control. So you can go down that rabbit hole, and then a web browser. So you probably already have this open. So Chrome, Firefox, Safari, Edge, whatever you feel like. I use Chrome, obviously. It's been the best of the best. Firefox was like a long time ago. I don't know if anybody even uses that anymore. And then step by step on kind of getting that all set up, you're gonna download your Python. There's a big yellow download on the button on the page. You just run the installer, click the add to path, click install now. When done, open the command prompt, Windows or terminal, and type Python. So you can literally just look in your search bar here, and you can look up command prompt. Look how fast that was. So you can pull that up right there, command prompt. And then you can just type Python version and press enter. So and I have Python 3.13.3. See how easy that is to second. Now I have it correctly set up. And then you go to the Visual Studio Code, download that guy, get it installed like a normal program, open it up. It's very easy. And then you install the Python extension. So you go over here. Let's just go to the home screen here. It says you click the extensions icon. Extensions icon here. And you search for Python. I'm so good at typing. And you can see that little, this guy here. So Python debugger, this is Python, boom. And then you just install the one by Microsoft. So whichever one that is, there it is, publishermicrosoft.com. So that's the guy. Fairly certain I already have this. Yeah, already installed. I was like, I'm pretty sure I do. There's no way I don't. Cool. You can go through Git as well. How I do that is go to, I'll have all the links there for you down below, but pull this guy up here. Download for Windows, and then you can test it by opening. Oh, actually, this is important. You want to do this. This isn't GitHub. This is Git. So go to this here. Click for download for Windows. Install the default settings, and you can open up your terminal. So So you go back down here to your command prompt. Oh, that's not the one. That's my game. You can go git version. Git is not recognized internal or external command. Oh, I spelled got. Am I doing this wrong? Oh my gosh, I am so dumb. There it is. Do better than me. Be better than me. You can imagine how many mistakes I've made along the way with just my typing errors. I never learned like real ASW or ASDF, what is it, JKL colon? I don't even know like where my fingers are supposed to go on the keyboard. I just go like this. Okay, so that's that. Next step is set up your first project. So you create a new folder on your computer called My First Project and use dashes or underscores because that's how it reads it. You don't want spaces between, so notice how everything has like an underscore. That's kind of the typical language you'll see is underscores. And really it's just create a new file called hello.py and then you can start typing. So let's actually I haven't done this one because I still have this. So let's go ahead and let's go to my documents here. Let's go to code RPG. Let's just create a new file, right? That's what I said, a new folder. You can follow along. Go ahead and make a folder. And then create a new file. So you're going to come to VS Code. You're going to start a new file, Python file. Go ahead and write print hello world. This is like how the basics of starting. Print. And we haven't talked about like what these are, but we're looking at like different inputs. We're looking at strings. Oh, we want to do this name equals. I want the input here. What is your name? Look at that. VS Code is amazing. I'm going to print hello. Let's go printf. Hello name. All right, so Control S. That's all we're going to do right now. Control S. We're going to save it into this new file I made, which is saved as, I already forgot the name of this, My First Project. Hello.py. Save that there. Open up the terminal. New terminal. Make sure I'm not in the right place here. So I need to go to okay. So I had to go open the folder specifically, and because it kept pulling from the RPG game. So now I'm going to go in here and create a new file, a Python file. So I'm going to quickly go, actually, I should open file here. There it is. Okay, so I've got it there. Now I go to terminal, new terminal. Look, I got the right directions. I'm in my first project. So I'm going to go ahead and run Boom. Congratulations. If you followed along with me, then you just wrote your first program. So you want to understand the file structure. So over here you can see there is my first project and hello.py is right there. So that's my Python code. So the next things if I wanted to do would be creating styles, CSS, index HTML, making web pages, and then a README MD, which would be a description of the project, which is more for your sake. So that would all be under here, which is, again, when you look at opening my folder here for, let's go here, RPG game. Boom, you see all of these different files. And you have the app.py right here, which I could always rename, but that's how it is right now. You got saves, you got statics, all your images are in there. So that's just a little example of kind of your first file, first program. Congratulations. So moving on for web development, like my RPG. If you want to build web apps like my dungeon game, you would also need to install Flask, so Python Web Framework. You'd open the VS Code, you type pip install Flask. You wait for it to install. So literally you just go here, open the terminal. And you go pip install Flask. I'm not going to do it, but that's what you do. You could also actually run it right here as well. Go to your command prompt, and you can do it there as well. And I can give you a step-by-step on that as well. So, yeah, so then you basically create a file called app.py. From Flask, you'd import Flask. So app equals, so right here at the very top. Boom. So importing your Flask. And I'm gonna put these instructions on there. You'd run it at app. So you run this guy here at app. Kind of that's how a lot of functions run in this game. And then Flask and then the name. So there you go. This guy here. Start adding routes, start adding functions, and then yeah. So I'm gonna throw this in there along with some troubleshooting common issues. So, and this is all just information for you if you want to get started the way I did. You can also just go with Claude AI, and they will explain it so much better than me, and you will be able to do a whole lot more than me probably. But there's some things like some common issues of troubleshooting. So Python is not recognized. Error is you forgot to check to add Python to path during install. The solution is reinstall path and check that box. Reinstall Python and check the box. Let's see here. VS Code can't find Python, so you open your VS Code and you press Control-Shift-P or Command-Shift-P on the Mac and type Python : select interpreter. So you just want to make sure you have the right version and then choose the version that you want installed. Pip is not recognized. Error usually meaning Python wasn't installed correctly. And then the next steps after setup is you want to learn the Python basics. So what are variables, functions, and loops? Try HTML and CSS. Experiment with the Flask. Version control with Git. Track your progress and build projects. And again, I recommend highly if as a new coder, we're in an age now where AI is able to do so much, and it can not only code for you if you want to blindly go into it like I have, but it can also teach you what you're doing along the way to make you more successful, especially in troubleshooting. It's so easy to just, with 7,000 lines on my app.py, you can quickly go through, identify, and give me some corrections for it. So remember that every expert was once a beginner. The most important thing to start coding and keep practicing. So yeah. So I'll go ahead and give you all this information here. Oh, one more thing too. You can actually learn coding on your phone. I'm going to put the link to Mimo, and it's just a little app that mimo.org. It just is like basically Duolingo, but for coding. and you can go through different practices and learn. You literally input information, multiple choice questions. You're actually learning and testing yourself as you go. And then there's small projects as you work on. So would love to do that. And if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them down at the bottom. If you want to see, man, I guess I could include some files on what this looks like if you wanted to do something like this. I would love to collaborate if you have some better ideas and you wanted to improve my system. But yeah, thanks for watching. Follow, like, subscribe, and definitely check out our the Tales of Shards. So we have a D&D campaign going on right now. It's a lot of fun if you're into that stuff. If you're not, never seen it before. It's a very we're very mediocre D&D players, but it's a lot of fun, and that's kind of the inspiration behind a lot of what I do. As you can see, up above me, I'm all things dragons, Lord of the Rings, inheritance cycle, D&D, swords. My wife actually gets me like a new sword every year for Father's Day, which is super awesome. So started off with this guy, got this one, and then just last year I got Anduril, the Flame of the West. So excited to see what happens this year, but no pressure, babe. So catch up with you guys later. Thanks.
Look at you now, you're alive. Oh, look at you now, you're alright. When the nights are cold but the